Welcome to First and Goal, presented by Pickett Sports, breaking down Thursday night football. The usual cast of one. It's all we need. It is Matt Matkafee. Matt, what's going on, man?
What's up, Will? Good to be here, man. How are you tonight?
It's good. We got a good football game tomorrow. Packers and the Titans. We can get to that in a minute. We got some
Yeah.
weather around the league, college football. So it's definitely a different time of the year now with the weather being a factor. But before we get to that, any takeaways from last Sunday, the last few days since we spoke? Any bets you've made, futures or otherwise, awards? What do you got from the last 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, the from Sunday, our we've been talking about our Dolphins future that we added. We like that. Gets a little better with Buffalo losing to Minnesota. There's a few other little movements in the awards market that I kind of like. My Nick Chubb offensive player of the year, it ticked up from 16 to 1, even though he, scored another touchdown. And the guys ahead of him are Jefferson and Hill, yet he's got more than you combine both of their touchdowns, and he's scored more than both of them combined. So it's like, I guess maybe you need to be on a winning team, and Jefferson and Hill are doing so. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I was happy to get that Packers money line as the best bet across the line against the Cowboys. That was fun. And yeah, Packers, they got some life now. They go on a run here? Who knows? I mean, they got to pretty much win out. Maybe can drop one more game, depending on how the NFC shakes out. I've been looking for somebody to hang a number on season wins for the Rams, and I want to
Me
take the
too.
under,
Me
but nobody
too.
will put a number up.
No,
So
and they just announced today Stafford, like an hour
yeah,
ago, Stafford is on track to play. Not that that'll push him over whatever season win total is, but I
yeah,
do like him at least. Those fours are disappearing this week against the Saints. Those are already down to 3.5. They might be down to threes by this point. That line's a little too heavy. I know it's no cup. The Rams have been a disaster, but man, the Saints 3.5, 4 points better than anybody. I don't see that, but I'm with you.
yeah,
Rams like the Lakers, man. They won their title. They went all in to get it, and they're gonna have a lot of paying to do for that title.
yeah. They, from what I saw, like on their preseason depth chart, they've lost like seven of their top eight offensive linemen, and then you throw in their best offensive weapon and Cup, and Stafford banged up, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, they're a pretty easy fade the rest of the way. But yeah, they're being kind of selective here on certain teams in the win total. So I mean, it's smart. You don't open yourself up to too much, but hey, hang the number and then move it. Like, why not? So yeah, I'm sure you'll get some action on both sides here. And I don't know. I think there's some other interesting props that have kind of opened up. I was looking at some potential. I mean, I'm glad the Eagles lost one to kind of give us a little bit of reshuffling of their odds here. I think it kind of like brought them down a little bit because it was not like they lost to like an elite team. Losing at home to a somewhat below average squad. It dropped their win total to I think 13 and a half.
Ooh,
Yeah, I know. I think they could sneak over that. Like,
that seems low.
right, because
You got to
everybody was
worry
talking.
about them punting on the last week, but if they're punting on the last week, chances are they ran up a good enough record to do so, and they probably
Right,
got to 14 wins anyway.
right.
Does seem a little low.
That's what I was thinking, but I guess maybe they think there could be a somewhat of a free fall here. I don't know. Like, I mean, what's changed after one game? I mean, how many teams are going to be able to keep that offense on the sideline for 40 minutes?
Right.
Like, I think that's a bit of an outlier, but who knows? We had people talking, are they going to go undefeated 3 days ago,
I know.
4 days ago? So now all of a sudden we've got them losing, three more
Four
times.
times,
Like,
right.
I don't know about that. So I'm tempted to jump in here. You got to lay a little juice. I'm trying to find that line exactly, but yeah, I just kind of trying to have some fun with it, man. Buy the ebbs and flows in this market, and you corner it if we can. Knock on wood that we get all of the pieces covered and we cash no matter what. But it can get tricky sometimes.
I do think it's interesting with Philly losing the coach of the year market because I've been of the opinion, hey, if Sirianni wins 15 plus games, it's going to be his award. That's just going to trump all these other good stories.
Mhm.
But I think if he's 14 and 3, three is the magic number. If he loses 3 games, I think there's so many other good stories, so many out of nowhere stories that somebody could steal coach of the year. I don't know if it's O'Connell with Minnesota. I think Daboll with the Giants is very
Yeah.
live if he gets that team to 10 or 11 wins. Pete Carroll, especially if he can win a division, is very live. Salah, if he could get the Jets in the playoffs. I guess you got to throw McDaniel in there. There's so many
Yeah.
good candidates. Where are you at with coach of the year? If you had nothing in pocket, is there anything you'd put a bet on? I don't know if you have the odds in front of you. I can pull them up.
He-
It's
yeah,
Sirianni's about even money. Then you got O'Connell like 3 to 4 to 1 range. Dable, I think, is in the 4 to 1 range. Salah 8 to 1. McDaniel 7 to 1. Carroll, I think, is 10, 11 to 1, that sort of range. Anything you'd fire if you didn't have anything.
for the coach market, it's tough. Like O'Connell makes sense. They keep winning all these close games, and everybody says that it's a correction of the variance from the previous
Yeah.
years. But how much of it is a correction of variance, but also like they have a better coach and they're just situationally more prepared to
A
be
little of
winning
both,
all of these.
probably. Usually, probably a
Yeah,
little of both.
column A, column B type of a thing. But yeah, it's really started. We've seen like the top six kind of separate themselves because then it just drops off a cliff to like Andy Reid and Mike McCarthy and stuff. Yeah, I could see. I think O'Connell's a good look, um, but again, we're looking for somebody against Sirianni. So like, I think if you haven't entered this market yet, probably take a shot on Brian Dable. I think with the Giants, they probably had the least expectations. I think a lot of people thought Minnesota
Yes.
could
It's
win
a
that division. I
key
think
point.
everybody had the Eagles winning that division or
Yep.
at least making the
Expectations
playoffs.
matter.
Yeah. So
Even McDaniel for Miami, who's right up there. It's like they had
yeah,
winning records the last 2 years in a row,
right.
and they added Tyreek Hill. The fact that they're flirting with 10, 11 wins is not like some, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Now he's a
Right.
good coach. He gets those guys open.
It is
We can have a
remarkable.
Yeah, we can have a debate here about how much of it's Tua, how much of it's the receivers. I kind of think, man, a lot of people could play quarterback with those two receivers. There's a
Yep.
huge margin for error. I know Tua's numbers look good, but to me, it's more a product of the system, the receivers. I'm
Well,
with you. I
yeah, and
think,
his MVP odds, I mean, it's
which is
skyrocketed. Now
crazy.
he's the second favorite. Like
It's crazy.
his stats are amazing. Like
The
right now,
stats are amazing.
he's got these like Big 12 passing stats. Like, and you're like, wow. I mean, he's so clear of everybody else, and he's missed a couple games too. And like the games they lost, or the games they lost, or the games they didn't have him too. So
Right.
like, I can see the case for Tua's MVP here. I mean, well, it's tough because yeah, do you give it? Where does the credit go? Does it go to McDaniel? Does it go to Tua? Does it go to Tyreek for coming in and being that that piece that changes everything for that offense? Because I kind of lean it's Tyreek. Like
Me
I think
too.
I'm with you. Like putting the probably the most versatile and most dangerous offensive player in the NFL onto a team just changes everything. So it makes everybody else better. Yeah, if I want any piece of that Dolphins, I think I want Tyreek Offensive Player of the Year because there seems to be good sentiment for it. As much as it pains me with Nick Chubb to have that, like, he's scored more than twice the amount of touchdowns, and he's playing for a bad team. Everybody knows they're going to run the ball, like, and he's still doing it anyway. But yeah, fun stuff, man. Like, and this could all change in a month, so we'll have to keep revisiting it every week.
For sure. It really is fascinating. If you just watch Tua, man, the stats are one thing, but man, he underthrows a lot of balls, and it's so hard to defend because these guys are so open, but then they stop and on these underthrown balls, and it's either an interference, it's a catch. It's really fascinating. And I'm starting to hear people say, well, I would take Tua over Herbert. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
that's
an
crazy.
overreaction. That's an
Herbert,
overreaction.
people forget Herbert was hurt the entire season.
Yeah,
Like he had that rib cartilage injury that, and plus you take away both of his starting tackles, and he's been missing Keenan Allen for
right.
almost the whole year. Like, yeah, it we can play the the drop the guy in on the other team. Yeah, you put a healthy Herbert on this Dolphins
Oh,
team.
forget it.
Woo! I want
Forget
a
it.
Super Bowl ticket on that team. Like,
Right.
and I think that's the problem is like it, and he'll have a chance to prove it. It like, do you want to invest on Tua on the road in Buffalo or on the road at Kansas City in January? Like, until he proves it, like that's going to be the doubt. So
We got to see him do it against good defenses. We got to see him do it outdoors. We got to see him stay healthy, which he hasn't done really his whole
yeah,
career, really in college. So it's interesting.
yeah, for
The
sure.
game tomorrow, we're up to some 3.5s. It's right around 41.5. The Packers are favored over the Titans. What are your initial thoughts, Packers and Titans?
I mean, now that it's 3.5, I think Tennessee is the side you want to be on. I think Green Bay wins the game
Me too.
outright. But yeah, Tennessee is just going to play this thing in a phone booth. Uh, 41 as the total. Like, I think this is one of those games where you just have a running clock. Both teams are going to want to run the ball. Jump in on some Henry and some Jones props. Yeah, play the running backs, play their anytime touchdowns, play their yards. Because for the quarterbacks, I just think it's going to be situational. Those key third downs, some play action pass type of stuff. But lean on the run because both of these defenses kind of struggle against the run, and I think that's why the under is as low as it is. So when you think the game's going under, you want to be on the side catching the points usually. So I kind of lean all three of those under Packers money line, but Titans cover.
Yeah, I could see a 20-17 type of game. I guess 23-20 would put it over, but Green Bay lacks explosiveness. We know Tennessee's MO is to just run the ball, muck up the game.
Yeah,
I don't know that Tennessee's a great team, but they're one of these teams like the Giants, like the Vikings. We sit here every week, say, "Oh, they're not a great team," and they just keep churning out win after win after win.
yep,
So I'm with you. I have the same exact take where I think the Packers win, but I'm at the point where, man, I had my chance to lay 2.5. I think I had my chance to lay 3. If
yeah,
you're laying 3.5 when you had the chance to lay 2.5 and lay 3, you're sort of doing it wrong. And maybe live betting is a tool here because we see this a lot where it's like, oh, I really want this number. Well, if you just keep an eye on live betting, you know what? If Tennessee gets the ball first and they get a couple first downs past midfield, you'll probably get your -2.5, -3. So if you like the Titans, I think you can grab the 3.5 or wait for the 3.5. It was available. I was just looking somewhere. I think it was FanDuel. If you like the Titans, you got to get the 3.5. If you're on the Packers, maybe you throw the money line in, or maybe you just wait
yeah.
for live betting with your number here.
What do you think about a teaser, like the same game teaser, where you tease the total up and the Titans up, and you take the under, and then you catch 9.5 with the Titans under
Probably a solid
47?
play. I
Yeah,
love the Titans aspect of it because expecting the Packers to win this by 10 points is probably asking a lot. I think
yeah,
it's so dicey teasing totals, but I think you have the right idea. Is that something
yeah.
you would do or going to do?
I mean, I'm thinking about it, or I may just play the Titans side of things and then pair it with like the Browns and get the Browns catching 14.5, like in the blizzard. Like I think could be a good look. Or potentially the Jets, tease them up to 9.5, or get the Ravens down underneath 7 against the Panthers, something like that. Like I think there's a way to pair up a teaser leg here because I think catching more than a touchdown with the Titans here is a great spot. Like so, uh, I I usually like to have my bets like kind of settle in one thing. We've talked about this in previous shows where I don't do a lot of carryover from the Thursday night into a Sunday, but this might be a situation where it makes sense if you don't want to take that total up and go under. Maybe go the other way and just attach it to your favorite spread of the weekend. And I think the Browns catching 14.5 would be a tremendous teaser leg. So um, maybe recommend that instead of the total.
How about any props here? Henry rushing yards, Henry rushing attempts.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it all. Honestly, I think this is one where if they offer a Henry prop, I'm gonna probably take it. Like back to the Titans game where literally whatever number they hung, like even alt stuff, it all
The
hit.
Texans game, you mean?
Yeah, or the Texans. Yeah, I
Yeah.
said Titans, but yeah, everything but 3 touchdowns, I think, hit. Like no matter how high they took it, it all hit. So I think this is another game where, Henry, they just lean on him heavily here and try to keep Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines. And the Packers aren't great at stopping the run. Had a few injuries there on that defense the last couple weeks. And I think if the Cowboys would have stuck with the run instead of trying to run a lot of spread, they win that game kind of easy. But like you just knew that they couldn't help themselves. Vrabel's not going to do that. Like he's going to keep pounding that ball. And so yeah, for me, it's I think
102 and a half, by the way, on the rushing yards at FanDuel. It's a lot, but I mean, he's good for it, but man, it's a
yeah.
lot.
I mean, I to me, it sounds high, but like all it takes is if we think he's going to get 23, 24 carries, so like his carries are at 22 and a half. All right, so even money to go over. Let's say he gets 22 and he's averaging what, 4 or 5, if he's averaging 5 yards a carry, you fly over. If you're at 4, you're right on the cusp, and you just need one to bang, break loose, and you're there. I mean, Tony Pollard could have ran for 200 yards if they kept running him. I think he had 125 last week.
Right.
So Derrick Henry is a much better running back than Tony Pollard. I like Tony Pollard, but if he doesn't have 100 yards, then I think the Packers are covering the 3.5 anyway. I think that they've just taken him out of the game. They've gotten a lead of 14-0, and But even then, God, they're going to keep running Henry. They're not going to get nervous. They'll keep with it. So, I just don't see a way he's not touching the ball 25 times tomorrow. So, that's the play.
Did you see anything from Green Bay that makes you think they can make a run? They are now plus 300 to make the playoffs. They obviously got some teams to catch here. They do have a head-to-head win against Dallas if Dallas can slump, but they lost straight up to the Giants. I don't think they've played the Seahawks. Do you think plus 300 is worth a shot? Or are you just better off playing them game by game? What's your take here on Green Bay
Let me
going
peek at
forward?
their schedule real quick. So, all right, we've got this game. Then they got to go to the Eagles, and you would assume that they lose that game. Then at Soldier Field, I think, or is that at Lambeau? No, that would be, yeah, it is at Soldier Field. After that, that's a game they could lose. We all know Rodgers owns the Bears, but Justin Fields, man, he's looking like a different guy. I would think that they beat the Rams. They'll lose probably to the Dolphins on Christmas. I don't think they'll win that game. They'll really need to win those last 2 games against the Vikings and the Lions. And even then, so if we give them 1, 2, I think they're only going to win 4 more games, honestly. So, yeah, I don't think they make the playoffs.
It'll be tough. I think
Yeah.
they could probably afford one more loss.
Yeah.
And just asking them, and Rodgers has done it before. They're probably better than their record, but asking them to go on a run where they win, 6 out of 7, something like that. That seems like it's asking a lot.
It's too much because you've got the Eagles in there, and then you've got back-to-back weeks, like the Christmas game at Miami, and then you've got the Vikings. Like after that, like they're losing at least 2 out of 3 of those games. At least I think. Now, if they do it and they win, great. Like hats off to you. But I would want more than 3-1.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're shortchanging on the price. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it totally past them, but I don't think it's likely. And again, at 3-1, probably need a little more. How about first touchdown scorer here? Henry is the short shot plus 430, Jones plus 550. Then you get Dillon 8-1, Lazard plus 950, Watson 12-1 at a breakout game last week.
Yeah.
Tonyan 12-1. I didn't know Tonyan was a junior. Robert Tonyan Jr. 12-1. Anything jump out here in terms of first touchdown scorer?
Gosh, it's so short. So you hate to say Jones or Henry.
Yeah.
But I like those plays. I think it's a pretty good look. Trying to sneak down a little farther. I mean, I could see them kind of selling out to stop the run, and maybe somebody, one of the tight ends or somebody like leaks out. And I mean, Tannehill and Rodgers both have the ability on that bootleg to go and score. So what are they? See, Tannehill 25-1. Rodgers is 35-1. Maybe one of the QBs just do a little bootleg. Like,
Please, it's been a while.
yeah, it's been a
I've
minute.
taken a few shots at him. I don't think I've hit any of these all year. I had a streak a couple years ago where I was just on fire with them. Man, I used all of them up in like the same 2 week span.
Yeah, it
It's been
has been
fewer
tough.
quarterbacks, it seems. We've gotten a couple random ones. We got a Cousins one, remember a few weeks
Mhm.
ago, but we haven't had like a ton of the quarterbacks, especially in primetime situations.
Yeah, it is going to be tough.
Garoppolo stuck one in Sunday night. That was wasn't the first of the
Yeah,
game, but it was the first 49ers touchdown.
that was funny too because it's like, Christian McCaffrey's the biggest favorite for a touchdown of the
Yep.
day. I think he was minus 200, and then you got Garoppolo sneaking one in, and you're like,
Yep.
oh, they're up to no good. And I know McCaffrey eventually got his, but it was suspect all week. Like the Lions were down on the one, and instead of handing it to Jamal Williams, they go for a pass, I
A
think, and
tight
then
end. Yeah, no, some random
yeah,
tight end.
and then the Browns, they go for a pass to Harrison Bryant when Nick Chubb's right there. Like, so these teams, you can see, like, when there's a stud running back in the backfield, they're selling out. And if the tight end or whoever leaks out, they're always open.
Yeah.
Everybody makes that. They are. They're so open because if the team doesn't cheat, it's a run. It's a walk in for the running back. So like,
It's
I
almost
think
like cheating on a fastball in baseball. If a guy's throwing 101 miles an hour, you gotta try to hit the fastball because if you don't try to hit that and it comes, you're never hitting it.
Yep, and I mean, if Tannehill, pump fakes it, or does the play action, and whoever it is leaks out, whether it be Hooper or is it a Conwu? Is that how you pronounce the guy's name? Is there
I think so.
yeah, young tight end? He's pretty good too. I could see him like leaking out. Because yeah, you got to honor the run, or else they're walking in. So that's why the bootleg is such a good play. It's yeah, the tight end leaks this way, the quarterback rolls out this way, and it's either you're either letting the quarterback go in or it's an easy pitch and catch. So um, that's kind of, I think, the way I would pivot away, because Jones and Henry being like 5-1 or less, like I don't care for that. And Dylan, for as big as he is, man, he doesn't really. I don't know, for whatever reason, like he doesn't get that goal line very well. Like I don't know what his um there's a lot to like. I mean, he's obviously as big as a house, but um, for what I guess he just runs in there, and there's no room for him to kind of get through. I don't know. There's really only one Derrick Henry who could be that big and kind of still jump over a pile or do all these other different things. So um, yeah, I would pivot away just because the value is not there.
Wrapping up here, first
Yep.
and gold presented by Pickett Sports. Gold boys, don't forget, download the Pickett app. Check out bet splits, trends, track all your bets, line shopping, everything you need. Pickett Sports. Download the app. It is free. Anything that you have in pocket, anything that you're going to bet on this game.
So I think I'm gonna do, like I said, I haven't had nothing in pocket yet. But I am going to get involved in Derrick Henry every which way I can. One touchdown, two touchdowns, carries, yards, you name it. Aaron Jones probably will get involved on his touchdown as well. And I'm not sure about, we talked a little bit about Aaron Rodgers' passing yards being pretty low, but I think with both teams wanting to run the ball, and the under being this low, I don't see a lot of passing. And heck, or Rodgers is, you see it below 250. I mean, you would want to go to that, but he's really only hit 250 3 times out of 10 games this year. It's just not their identity anymore. So yeah, I think playing the running backs is the way to go tomorrow.
All right.
Yeah.
Weather's not too much of a factor tomorrow, is it? I know it's really cold, but I don't think there's a little wind, nothing in terms of snow. A lot of these other games, we got major weather concerns, but
Mhm.
nothing really, I don't think tomorrow, just really cold.
Yeah, cold weather. I mean, and that sucks too.
Yeah.
Like it just keep pounding that ball, and then you may get some tackles in the first half, but once you're trying to tackle Derrick Henry for the 20th time, it sucks. Like
Right.
so, yeah, I think the cold, and especially when it's cold, that just makes it even worse.
Yeah, you would think the cold, oh, it's Green Bay, they're home, that's their environment, but Tennessee's such like a gritty, grimy, pounded out
Perfect for
team that
them.
it's really kind of perfect for them. 'Cause they are
Yep.
a cold weather team, even though they're not a cold weather city.
Yeah, it's yeah, I think like as we talked about, the 3.5, like it looks so good. Perfect teaser leg. I may talk myself into doing that and attaching it maybe to something on Sunday too. I'll have to wait and see, but yeah, I like it. I think it, like I said, it's perfect. I'm trying to double check that there's anything we got to worry about injury wise. It looks like Bullock, the kicker for Tennessee,
Yes, it's gonna be
might be
Josh
hurt.
Lambo instead.
Yeah, Lambo instead. And then Titans on the defensive lines: Simmons, Bud Dupree. Yeah, I mean, I guess there could be some issues there. Bakhtiari might miss for
He's
the
always hurt,
Packers.
isn't he? He's never
Yeah,
healthy.
I think he's been hurt for 3 years, but
Yeah, really.
hey, you got to do what you got to do. I think if you're an offensive lineman, you're always hurt. Like,
Right.
yeah, you're never healthy. But yeah, well, we'll see tomorrow. But I think that's the right side, and just kind of load up on Henry props, and because if he goes down and he's ineffective, then the Packers are going to run away with this thing. So I just feel like Vrabel's going to have them playing a tight, close game. 3.5 is where you want to be.
All right. And for anyone listening, even though it's an NFL show, I gave it out earlier. This is a little treat, a little reward. If you're listening, Ball State. I'm sorry, it's Buffalo against Akron Saturday college football. DraftKings, for whatever reason, has a 12.5 in the first quarter. It's 9.5 everywhere else. It's a bad line. So go to DraftKings, get under the first quarter. That's a little reward. Even if you don't want to have a position, you can just bet under 12.5 there and bet over 9.5 somewhere else and just root for it to land on 10 or 11 or whatever the case. So
Yep.
wanted to give a little nugget, a little reward for everyone listening. But anything else to add before we get out of here?
Nope, I think I'm good. Let's hope for a good slate of competitive NBA tonight. And last night was kind of nasty with some blowouts, so we want some close competitive games. Keep an eye on Klay Thompson tonight. He got tossed out the last time they played Phoenix,
That's
and
right.
so he's a player that loves these spots and these motivational spots. So I think Klay will have a big night tonight.
I could see that. And I think we're doing an NBA show. Are you joining us NBA show tomorrow?
I will be here.
Eastern. I will make a declaration about a star player that I think is going to be traded. So that's a little tease for tomorrow. Matkafee,
Ooh, okay.
appreciate it, man. Thank you to Go Boys, Picket Sports. We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck with all your bets. This is First and Gold.